NEPA Scene Podcast, the only live streaming face-to-face arts and entertainment podcast covering northeastern Pennsylvania, offering a true alternative voice in local media. We're coming to you from the NEPA Scene studio underneath Center City Print in downtown Scranton. I'm Rich Howells, the founder and editor of NEPA Scene. Summer Cosco is behind the scenes in the producer's chair. And tonight we're here with Scranton Fringe Festival team members Maggie O'Brien and Terry Thompson. This year's festival will be held in 18 venues throughout Scranton on September 25th through October 5th. So we're going to talk about the first 10 years of the Fringe and the growth they've seen over this annual event over time, how they first got involved and what they do on the advisory board, their experiences with acting in and directing shows, creating local theater productions with the new Vintage Ensemble, Terry's role as a youth program manager for the festival, Maggie's work with the Make-A-Wish Foundation, and much, much more. So please join our conversation with your questions and comments down below. We'd love to hear from you. So if you've ever been to a Scranton Fringe Festival show or you've participated in a show, we'd love to hear about your experiences, anything that you have about this year's festival that you want to talk about coming up. We're going to be talking about all the highlights and looking back on the last 10 years and all that stuff. So lots to talk about tonight. Make sure you join the conversation. It's much, much more fun when you participate. Before we dive in, I just want to thank our sponsor, Center City Print, who provides us with this great studio space. Use promo code NEPA Scene in person or online at centercityprint.com for 10%. Center City Print can bring your ideas to life in 4 locations: Scranton, Old Forge, Kingston, and Hazleton. These one-stop shops are locally owned and operated, offering high-quality printed products, copy and print services, and design solutions to help you, your small business, your nonprofit organization, your band, your art project, your event, or any venture thrive. Use promo code NEPA Scene in person or online at centercityprint.com for 10% off. All right, could you start by telling us a little bit about yourselves?
I'm Maggie O'Brien. I've been a member of the Scranton Fringe Advisory Board since its inception. I was also a founding member of the new Vintage Ensemble, which is a performing arts ensemble that was born out of the Vintage Theater, which some I'm sure your listeners remember. Mm-hmm. I live and work in Scranton. I'm the regional director for the Make-A-Wish Foundation. I grant wishes for kids all across Northeast PA. I've been doing that for 14 years.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah.
I am Terry Thompson, also a member of the new Vintage Ensemble. I've been involved with Fringe in a lot of different capacities over the years, starting as an actor in a lot of the shows, and then transitioning to youth program manager and helping with tech behind the scenes. So wear a lot of different hats for the Fringe, but I have a lot of fun with it. Other than that, I guess I'm a poet, I'm a musician here in the Scranton area, performing many times at the open mic with Rich over here down at the V-Spot. And I guess that kind of covers all the bases.
Sure, yeah, we'll get into a little bit of that later on. So how did you first discover theater or the performing arts? Did it start at a young age for you?
It did for me, yeah. I would say, but the real catalyst of my passion for performing and the art started in high school. I was on the Scranton High School speech and debate team. We were highly competitive. We were the state champions for many years. We traveled all across the state competing in like high school forensics. I was, I placed in the state championships many years, along with all of my friends. Our team was really successful under the direction of Eleanor Langen, who was a longtime drama teacher at Scranton Central High School. She was very beloved, incredible director, a huge contributor to the arts community here in Scranton. And she's, she, in addition to teaching me, she taught Steve Karam. I know who got his start with her, as well as a lot of other successful performers and writers. Margot Dawahi, who's participating in the festival this year. She was also an acolyte of Mrs. L's and that our time there in high school. So that's when I really cracked my teeth in theater and fell in love with it. I was really fortunate to not only have the direction of Mrs. Langan, but I also studied with Agnes Cummings, who's also a renowned actress and director from the Scranton area. And through then, I also worked with Jason Miller, who was the Pulitzer Prize-winning playwright, Oscar-nominated actor from Scranton. He was the creative director at Scranton Public Theater, and I started working with them when I was still in high school. So that was an incredible experience, and it just, just kept growing and growing from there.
I got to meet Jason once.
Okay.
It was pretty cool.
Yeah,
we were doing a little local theater thing at the high school at Westside, where I was at the time, and it was really cool to have him there.
Yeah, I think he grew up in Westside.
I did. Yeah.
Yeah. No, he did.
He did.
Yeah.
Yes, he did as well. Yeah. I almost wore my Exorcist shirt tonight too. Funny enough.
Yes, Jason's an incredible talent. Very generous too. He taught me a lot. I really loved working with him.
What's your turn?
So you're telling me you're a West Sider?
I
went to
am.
West Side.
Yeah, I know. Sorry if that changes your opinion. of
Yeah,
me.
I think I gotta leave. Actually, it's been nice. No, my journey with theater kind of started pretty similarly to Maggie's. My freshman year of high school is when I was introduced to theater. I had a fantastic speech and drama teacher, Mrs. Brotherton, at Scranton High School. Our first play that year was A Midsummer Night's Dream. So to dive right into Shakespeare as your first introduction was pretty poetic, if you ask me. But no, it was a lot of fun. I did drama all throughout high school. I became president of the drama club, co-president of the drama club my senior year. And into college, I did improv all 4 years. So Improv Beyond down at Marywood. Shout out Improv Beyond, and all my friends over there. And then after college, actually in college as well, I really got involved with the NVE and people who run Fringe. My first play with you guys was, I believe, 2014, with Behanding in Spokane, with Casey and Tim McDermott, Connor McGuigan, Jess, and all of them.
That was at Diva.
That was at Diva, yeah.
Yeah.
That was a great show. I did
that
see
was
that.
fantastic.
Fantastic. A lot of hands just being thrown everywhere for some reason, right?
I got to see that on Broadway too.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, with Walken and who else? It was great. It was so good.
It's a fantastic show. It's fantastic. Super morbid. I love it
Yeah.
so much. But yes, then theater has invaded my life. Invaded for the West Side Invaders. all throughout my life from freshman year of high school onwards in some capacity. So yeah, that's kind of where it lays.
So, what was your? And you talked a little bit about your early shows, first shows, but what were some of those first shows like, and how did that kind of experience lead you to kind of doing what you're doing now?
So I would say my first show involved with people from the NVE and Scranton Fringe. I'll go back to Behanding in Spokane. It was such I'm trying to think of the right word for it, but it was such a shock to me to be surrounded by people of so much talent. It was like my first big boy show, I guess, like big boy play. Sure. So to be in a play, your first play like that with Tim McDermott, Connor McGuigan, Jess, and all of them, being directed by Casey, I felt so small personally, but they lifted me up and made me feel like they instilled so much confidence within me, and just seeing their talent, I wanted to rise and meet them at the level they were, and how I saw them, and then being able to eventually befriend these people and call these people my colleagues and all that, Maggie over here, all those people, and it really instilled a lot of confidence within me, and confidence that I carry to this day, being able to help out more behind the scenes these days, but to lift up other people and show them that if I can do something like that at a young age, then anybody else can do something like that too. So that's what it's all about to me.
Yeah, fun. The origin story I'd like to share is, I think is a direct reflection of how we've gotten to this place in the festival. I think it was in 2012. Connor O'Brien, my brother, and I did our first collaboration on a staged production in partnership with the Vintage Theater, which was his first entertainment business that he started. I believe he started that in like 2009. Wow, yeah. 2010. Again, as we were stating, the years collapse on each other. But I know in 2013, we did our first full stage production of Pride and Prejudice. We did an adaptation of Pride and Prejudice. Connor and I together adapted the book into a play, and we staged it as a full stage production. We rented the space that was above the Vintage Theater when it was located on Spruce in the Manhattan Room. And then I think it became a church. It was part of the old German hotel. There's this big, beautiful space in there that was a theater. I think it was called Northeast Ensemble for a period of time. But anyway, so we rented that space. We did our first full stage production, Pride and Prejudice. Everyone that was a part of that project, we all just had such a fantastic experience. It was really rewarding and, and challenging and fun. And we really all got to push the envelope of the work that we had done up to that point, and really try our hands at something, highly stylized, something that was reinventing the familiar. These were our goals, and I think we did a great job with that first show. I directed it. Connor and the Vintage produced it. We had a fantastic cast, many of the people Terry just mentioned, and it was from there that the new Vintage Ensemble was born. At that time, we were still the Vintage Ensemble, but once Connor and Teresa, his partner, closed the doors on the brick and mortar vintage space, we spun off to the new Vintage Ensemble, and that core group, again, there's so much talent and there's so much passion and respect and motivation to do better, be better, and continuously challenge ourselves from that initial group. And then from there, it just spiraled into so many exciting projects. First, I'll name. I also had a wonderful opportunity to direct. Connor and his writing partner Simone Daniel wrote their own first play, The Darling Core. Yeah. I don't know if anybody remembers that.
I did catch that. That was
great. The Darling Core. So that was one of the first original productions we did in that original in that vintage space when we had the space in the Manhattan Room at the German. That was super exciting. That's the first time I directed an original work. And it was that experience. That show was the first show they took to the Pittsburgh Fringe Festival as artists and got their, baptism by fire through the Fringe experience in the Pittsburgh Fringe Festival. And that's kind of, it's from there I really could say that Connor and our group as well, that's when we really caught the bug of Fringe theater and recognizing the opportunities that platform of performing art really opens up for, artists of all sizes and kinds, because Fringe really, is such a big tent. Yeah. And there's so many different types of, ways that people can express themselves creatively, and that can all fall under that banner of Fringe. And it was from there, I think that's when the rubber really met the road. They then, Connor and another group from our core ensemble took a show. They took the Nancy Drew show.
Oh, what was that?
I don't remember the name. To Kansas City. Did you go on that?
I did not, but I remember hearing about it.
They went to the Kansas City Fringe Festival next, and it was after that experience. I did not attend with the group, but when they came home and I asked Connor, how did it go? He goes, it was great. I loved it. I'm doing this. I'm starting Scranton Fringe Festival. I was like, okay. You do that. Sure.
Here we are 11 years later.
And he does what he says he's going to do.
I was going to say, at that point, did you know how involved you would be in that?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, Connor's my youngest brother. There's 15 years between us. So in many ways, I think of him as my first child, because, I have a lot of fond memories of him as a little guy. And I like to think that my artistic interests and pursuits, as well as our fellow brother Casey, who was also a great public speaker, we had a lot of influence on him in that trajectory. So, did I know that I don't know that I necessarily knew that I would someday be riding his coattails instead of him riding mine. But that is that's a position that I'm happy to surrender to him, because he does, he's so entrepreneurial and, has such a great passion for performing and supporting other performing artists as well, and lifting everybody up, not just the shows, not just the festival, not just the performers, but the community as well. So it's a pleasure to be on board.
And the Fringe Festival is very clever in the sense that it solves the one big problem that I hear about, and then we just talked about on the podcast last week, over and over and over again with local artists, is having a venue and staying open and continuing to pay rent on something like that, or get grant money for things like that and whatever. And not that a Fringe Festival doesn't present its own challenges in terms of finding spaces and things like that, but it's kind of solves that problem of having to do that month after month, year after year, of that one space, and then getting everybody to come to that one space. The Fringe Festival kind of comes to everybody by having it in so many different places and offering so much different kinds of programming and stuff like that all at once. So it's a really cool experience, and I think a lot of people, once you get over the hump of what is a Fringe Festival and trying to explain that to people, which we did quite a bit last year when we talked about it on the podcast too. We did 2 in a row about the Fringe Fest. So I hope by now anybody who's watching knows by now what that is, and we won't have to go over that for the 100th time.
Sure. Right? Yeah, we have an inside joke whenever we're tabling at an event, or maybe outside of our normal circumstances, and people come up to us, and it's always like, so what's this all about? Like,
and everybody everybody has a different way of explaining it too. So it's the funniest thing.
Yeah,
I always tell people, I'm like, it's a week's worth, 2 weekends, and the weeks in between of performances, from live theater to music to poetry to anything and everything under the sun that can be presented live, and you buy a ticket to and you go to and you hopefully enjoy. So
yeah. But to your point about, the traditional theater having like a brick and mortar space where you continue, you're paying bills month after month, and having to bring in, an audience month after month, and keep coming up with original programming.
Yes.
That's the position that the Vintage was in for many years, as you know. They once lived here in this building.
Exactly, right upstairs.
Yes, the Vintage Theater moved 3 times. It started at the Ritz on Wyoming Avenue as the one-room space that Connor started when he was 16. And then this was the second space, and that's when he partnered with Teresa O'Connor, who's now the owner at the Retro Cafe. And he and Teresa were originally business partners here, and that's when they added the cafe, and they started doing more theatrical programming here in this space, and then eventually moving to the Manhattan Room. So, that was almost a 10-year trajectory for them. From Connor was 16 to 26, he was running these businesses, and we all saw the challenge to make rent every month and continuously creating programming and bringing in new audiences. That's a lot of work. Yes. And that when they made the executive decision that they weren't going to renew the lease and they were going to pivot in terms of what kind of arts they wanted to pursue, there was a lot of there was disappointment. I was disappointed. I was worried. There was concern. There was worry. There was also the fear that that we were going to be losing something by having this clubhouse.
Right.
And again, one of the many opportunities that I've had to renew, continuously put my faith in, the Fringe movement, is I couldn't have been more wrong. By freeing themselves from the shackles of a brick and mortar, allowed so much more freedom and creative expression and an opportunity to engage with the community in a much more meaningful way than just necessarily hoping that, you'll come to our show and then go eat at a restaurant or get a drink or do some shopping while you're there. Yeah. Through the Fringe model, we're bringing audiences directly to these spaces to create. And, I think that's really, that's that's where the value really lies.
Yeah, and I'm sure a lot of these touring artists too are probably attracted to the idea of coming to something that is called a fringe festival. It's a format that they might be used to, or things that they've done other fringe festivals around the country and obviously all over the world. So they would want to come to something like that versus like, hey, come to this little obscure venue in Scranton and maybe hope that, you know, your show works out or that we can get people to that or whatever. Mm-hmm. Like it's also a great marketing tool as well. You know,
yes, exactly. We built that tent, and every year now, I mean, this is our 11th year. Mm-hmm. The tent just progressively keeps getting bigger and bigger. We even managed during COVID. We had the incredible success of Fringe Under Glass. Mm-hmm. Where we performed in storefronts. In terms of the fringe circuit and the fringe community, which is a thing, there are well-known communities across the globe, and fringe artists that travel all year round from festival to festival, supporting themselves through their work. Scranton became an incredibly fast-growing festival, not only in terms of the amount of shows that we had in our attendees, but the distance that artists would come to be a part of it, and making a commitment to put that on their schedules, right? Because these artists are traveling across the globe, performing and supporting themselves. The quality of their performance, and then the resources that we can provide them to like elevate that message is so important to their to their income, to their success, to their ability to go to the next festival. And so many artists have put their faith in us, and we've proven to be a really solid experience for them on a business perspective as well.
Yeah, it's really, I've obviously seen a lot of fringe shows over the years, and it's amazing to see all these people packed into all these different little spaces.
Yeah.
All kind of enjoying these really out of the box sort of performances and interesting things that you're not going to see every day. And we'll get into that in just a little bit of some of the programming that they have this year and everything. But I also want to talk about you guys have both acted and directed or been in that role of producing shows behind the scenes and things like that. Do you have a preference as to either one, or does each of those maybe scratch a different creative itch for you, or how does that work?
Oh man, yeah, each one scratches a different creative itch. I run my own podcast at home, Double Kick Podcast. We talk about video games and stuff, but I'm really into the tech and running stuff behind the scenes. So being able to run sound and lights is always fun. But being on stage and acting your heart out and being able to portray a character going through all the highs and lows and experiencing all those emotions with your fellow actors and portraying that to an audience is, a high that is hard to explain to someone who hasn't experienced it. It's just such a fun moment, being able to create these worlds and live in these worlds with your fellow actors and portray these stories. So yeah, it's a different itch,
different
journey for each one, right? Mm-hmm. But yeah, I wouldn't trade either for the world.
Yeah, I could say, the largest part of my performing career was done on stage as a performer. And, when the first time I stepped behind the curtain and, stood on the other side as the production team, being a director, I was concerned. I had questions, doubts within myself if I was going to get the same satisfaction that I got as a performer, because I loved, I loved that journey of creating a character and performing, and of course being on stage and getting applause and taking bows. The director doesn't get to take a bow. That's a good. So once I reached that point with that first show we did, with that Pride and Prejudice show that we did, when I stepped into the director's chair, I'll tell you, I mean, as soon as I had that experience, it was like, this is really where the power lies, because through the lens of the director, I get to be all the characters. I get, you really get to frame the show and set the tone, set the pace, style it. You get all the decisions. You're the last word on almost anything. Right. Without the producers. Right. That's the second. So turned out to be the more rewarding of the experiences for me, from a creative perspective, because you get to stretch so many more creative muscles.
It's fun making other people shine,
It is. It's wonderful. And then that also put me, I've even into the production role. Something I'd never thought I'd want to do. That sounded so boring. I mean, that's just raising money and paying for things. Like, that's not fun. But I've discovered, again, even in my role with the festival, people have to be behind the scenes to make these things happen. The beauty of theater and entertainment in general is, we make it look easy. You show up, you sit down, the curtain opens, and all the work that we've done and all of the training that we've had and all the, conversations and sweat and tears, that's all pushed to the side, and you get, just to put on this, you get to see the final result. Mm-hmm. And, when you're sitting in a place of knowing what it took to get there, from that very first conversation that my brother and I had, talking about that we were ready to take the leap, to that opening night, it's like, look how far we've come. That's it satisfies a different itch that I didn't know I had. And I really enjoy the production side of things.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And you touched on being very professional. Like, I think what's cool about the Fringe Festival and how Scranton Fringe runs, like, everybody from the people running the tech to the volunteers running in front of house, they're all trained up very well. They're all very professional. So when these people come in for their shows from out of town, they've already got a tech crew, they've already got a front of house crew, all provided by Fringe, who, really knows what they're doing. So it's really just, they put on their show, and that's really it. So that's one good aspect.
Yeah, it's reminded, we had the motto, we take the work seriously, but not ourselves.
Right.
That's and you get to make a lot of great friends and meet people from all over the world. I've had the blessing. I've been able to go to Edinburgh. I've performed in Edinburgh at the World Fringe Festival. I've met representatives and producers from festivals all across the country. It's an amazing network of artists and really talented people you get to learn from.
Now, is that your number one? If you had to pick like one show or one thing that you accomplished that you put on the top of your list or resume or favorites, what would do you have a number one
of my collective theater experience?
Yes, of like the things that productions you've been involved with.
Yeah, Pride and Prejudice has a real special place in my heart. That was a first for us. It was where we met everyone. We were a cast of almost 15 people. Almost everyone is still associated with our group here over 10 years later. It was a real bonding experience. I really feel like that it was through that experience I found my tribe. And I feel like I know that a lot of my friends and people in our group feel that same way. Yeah.
I would have to say, I think it was our Town play. We put on Our Town at Shopland Hall at the Scranton Cultural Center in 2019. That one holds a really special place in my heart, not just because of the themes of the play, but I was seeing my fiance at the time, who was then not even my girlfriend. We were just seeing each other, and she came to watch my play, and the emotions you feel in that play. Very heavy, a lot of themes of love and loss, and just putting those emotions and tying them up with, I'm seeing this girl now who's eventually going to become my fiance. I think they put a lot of good memories together. And such a talented cast too. Like, the show was so much fun to put on. You cry a little bit at the end of it just because of the themes of it all, but you also get sad it's over because of the fun times you've had with the cast and the crew and all that. So yeah, it was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
So I'm sure people don't realize how much work goes into these things, and the months and months of preparation leading up to it and things like that. What do you feel are kind of the biggest challenges to putting on local theater in this area?
Besides money?
I mean, money's always number one, right? Like, come on.
Yeah.
Especially, and I think these days too, it's obviously coin purses are getting tighter, and there's also, I think, the challenge of like people are starting to, and we talked about this a little last year, almost kind of politicizing some of this stuff too, where it's like if you're in theater or whatever, well, you must be on that side, and I'm on this side, and I don't want my money to go towards that. So then it like gets into grant funding and everything else too, where it's like, oh my God, this is as if it's not enough of a battle already for artists to get recognized around here and put all the work that they do and everything else. But you hear that around, and not of course, not even nowhere near just the Fringe Festival, but artists in general. It's like nobody wants to pay them, but they all want the benefits that come with that sort of thing. So I mean, that's always a huge challenge. But yes, financially, but I'm sure there's other things as well.
I mean, that I'm sure you're well familiar with that association of oh, well, you should come do it for the exposure.
Oh yes, exactly.
Oh, yeah,
the big E.
That's what I need.
I have died of exposure many years ago at this point.
I don't know if I can pay my rent with exposure. I'll try.
I would say the challenge right now, I think, is in cultivating younger audiences for theater.
Okay.
In large part, I would say, our community is incredibly supportive of the arts, and passionate for theater, from community theater, regional theater, professional theater, Broadway Theater League. Our community has supported these organizations for years. So, the want is there with the older generations. The younger generations, I hope that we are reaching them specifically even through an event like Fringe. Terry is our resident young person.
Not young anymore, though.
I always check with him to find out what's young and sexy and cool.
I'm just young by comparison, so. Comparison.
Burn.
Oh, my back hurts a little bit.
Yeah, right. But I mean, I don't want to. I'm not trying to sound like I'm out of touch. I worry about the youths.
Yeah.
I think that maintaining and continuing this tradition in Northeast PA of valuing and celebrating the arts.
Yes.
That's the job. That's the task at hand right now.
Yeah, I think even going off that, Maggie made great points. Like with the youth, it's like creating and maintaining like accessible spaces for them to experience art and to express themselves, and to get through the awkward years where you want to encourage them to be awkward and to have these feelings of, oh, I want to try this but I don't know if I can. We want to create those spaces where you're allowed to come in, you're allowed to experiment, you're allowed to experience theater how you should be experiencing it. That's a challenge that I think we try to overcome a lot, especially with Hadestown. We're putting on a teen production of Hadestown this fall, winterish, in November, and it's free to the kids who are attending. So that's something that was really important to us, just creating that accessible space. And I guess second, like one of the hardest things is just scheduling. Everybody's working a 9 to 5, so coming to rehearsal after 9 to 5 and
capacity,
putting in your 5 to 9 afterwards. So it's but I mean, everybody who loves it, shows up eventually, and then
Right, as Terry mentioned, we're in partnership with the Youth Arts Council for a full stage production of Hadestown, which is turns out I'm familiar with the show. I was not aware of how popular it is with younger kids. They have this. They're really passionate about it.
I love it. Oh my god, and they're so talented too. Like we've had a couple of rehearsals, and just already it's like they're gonna be great.
Yeah, fantastic. Yeah, and and there's so many other great organizations in the area. The Shakespeare Fest, Scranton Shakes, they have a youth program. The Scranton Cultural Center also has a youth program for artists. So there's work being done. But I think again I'll show my age. I grew up in a time, when I cut my teeth in theater and I started performing, there weren't cameras in our phones.
Yeah.
And, there was no social media. So, I feel like that I had more ease at being vulnerable because I wasn't being perceived all the time.
Sure.
Yeah.
And I think young people today struggle with that that sense of perception, or that there's always someone watching. That I worry that level of self-awareness, that heightened self-awareness, is going to rob them of a creative expression. So that would be, I think it's the kids.
I know the music scene faces the exact same dilemma of trying to get that younger generation to come out, and I see a lot of local venues that used to be very popular and had no problem pulling people in, now suddenly struggling with that, especially after COVID, where a lot of people are getting used to staying home and having all their entertainment in front of them on a screen and that sort of thing. And that's been, the challenge to pull people away from those screens and stuff. But it's not just that. I don't think it's easy to say, like, the kids just have a phone in front of their face all the time and that's it. And it's like, yeah, but, there's ways to reach them that way too, that maybe you're not utilizing correctly. And you also, like, when we were younger, of course, it was great to go out and, get away. Like, I love my parents and I love my folks, but boy, I could not any excuse to get out and go see a show and get away. And even if I wasn't socializing, I was in front of my people and in peers and people who enjoyed the same things that I did and stuff like that. And now you don't even have to leave the house to have that experience for a lot of people. So I think maybe it would have been different, especially me being a nerd, like, I feel like, oh yeah, if I had today's internet in front of me versus the internet I had, where you had to sit there and dial up for 20 minutes and then everything loaded, 10 years after you clicked them, and it's like, yeah, okay, I've had my couple hours of internet, I'm good for the day. Now it's just like, it's 24 hours, you're getting a notification, whatever. So it's a different world we're living in.
Oh, it's totally different. I mean, I remember when TV used to turn off.
Yeah, right.
That flag would come up and it would play, the Star Spangled Banner or something. And then it was like, oh no. You were like, and then it was, infomercials. That was like, yes, we can watch infomercials.
Yeah.
It's smelling very geriatric in here.
Oh, yeah.
I know, Terry. That's why we keep him around.
Well, you are the youth program manager.
Sure.
So what does that role entail for you?
Again, you wear a lot of hats in Scranton Fringe, and, even being youth program manager, you also wear a lot of hats. So it's really just, creating programs and helping run these programs aimed at the youth. So this kind of started, I believe, a year or two ago. We partnered with, I'm forgetting the school, up in East Mountain. We partnered.
The Montessori school.
Yep, what she said is a mouthful. We partnered with some middle school aged kids. Some middle-aged kids. They were like really 50. We had a group of middle school kids that we gathered them up and we taught them how to create and run their own podcasts. So we developed their episodes from start to finish, and we even recorded them and published them for their parents to listen. So that's where this all started, and then it kind of rolled over into Hadestown, and we're always thinking of new programs aimed at, again, making this world of ours, this creative arts world, accessible to the youth. Having it be a safe space for them to, again, be awkward, ask questions, not afraid to be cringy. I think that's one thing that I really like to instill. Like, this is like the age where you're supposed to be awkward. You're supposed to be cringy. You're supposed to be all these things so you can find yourself. And it's okay to, be that way. So, but yeah, that's really what it entails. Just, creating these programs for the kids and having them have a fun time.
Yeah. And these programs, the youth programs, are generally all free of charge.
Mostly, yeah. I believe so, yeah.
Yeah, no, I did, because I know accessibility is obviously a big priority for us, making sure that people of all socioeconomic backgrounds can, participate in the arts, which can be challenging, because there are, different, and again, we talked about, people have businesses, people need to make money. There are, you can take, kids that have the benefit of, their parents have disposable income, they can, take lessons, or they can, be taught how to play piano, learn how to, go to a writing, camp, or, lots of different opportunities if you can pay for it. But if you don't have the funds, the arts can sometimes, and historically, especially, many years ago, could be gatekept.
Yes.
For that reason. So, again, with the, by making youth a priority, it's not just about identifying young kids and getting them to look away from their screens, but also reach kids that may not already have that opportunity to be exposed to the arts like that.
That's a great point.
And it's I think that's something we don't talk about enough when it comes to the arts too, because it's easy for me to sit here and tell people, well, if you appreciate the arts, you should go here and you should go this and you should do that and whatever else, and it's like, yeah, but put all the other stuff aside, your schedule, working, all that kind of stuff, school, that sort of thing. Just the cost of some of these things, the cost of a theater show that's coming to the area, cost of a concert that's coming to the area,
ridiculous.
And those costs keep going up and up and up, and these fees keep getting added by certain companies that have monopolies on these things that oppressively continue to add these ridiculous fees and things. And passing these costs on to the consumer. So it's and you wonder what they pay for, other than a new a yacht for the CEO. And so it's it's frustrating to want people to get into these things, and we have all of these great theaters in the area that are bringing stuff in and stuff, but not everybody can fit all of that into their budget and stuff. So stuff like that is so important. And most of it, even if there is a cost with the Fringe, a lot of it's very low cost.
Yes, yeah. We pride on ourselves on keeping our ticket prices reasonable and accessible. We also have a program, Feed the Fringe, where individuals can reach out to us through the website and let us know if there's a show that they want to see and they don't have the financial capability of paying for the ticket. We will comp their ticket through the Feed the Fringe program, because we want to build an audience, and we certainly don't want costs to be the reason that somebody can't see theater. I mean, we're there, we're doing it, it's already happening. If the show's not sold out, it doesn't cost us anything to have you, comp you a ticket.
Sure. And I'm sure there's a lot of volunteer opportunities with this kind of stuff too.
Oh yeah,
so.
That's really that's the best. That's the best option. Join us, become a volunteer, help us work front of house, run a box office. You get a volunteer pass, and I think each volunteer gets to see 4.
I believe it's 4.
Yeah,
right.
they get the volunteer pass, and then they can go to each show and punch it. And they get to see 4 free shows.
Nice.
If you run in front of house, I mean, you can basically
You
see the
can
show
just
for free.
Yeah, right.
You're already there. So.
You're already getting one.
Yeah, a lot of perks with being a volunteer for the festival. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a really fun experience.
Yeah, absolutely.
And again, a great opportunity to meet new people, expose, and grow your circle. If there's anybody, looking still to find their tribe in the arts, volunteering with any organization, but specifically Scranton Fringe, at least in the next 2 weeks. We're still accepting volunteers, and we'll find a job for you. So.
Yeah, I mean, in my business, I meet a lot of wallflowers, and I was one of them. I still kind of am in certain ways, so. I get that. So it's tough to, because some people are like, well, how do I break into this or that? Or how do I get into this? And I think a lot of people maybe expect that it comes to them. And then the people will just show up one day and knock on your door. And I know that you're a big fan of this. And here we are to, bring you into this circle and whatever. Or there's some people who maybe get jaded. And they're like, well, why is this person always doing these things? And it's maybe comes from a little bit of jealousy or something like that. Of, how come all those people are always being featured or talked about or doing these shows or whatever? Well, why can't I do that too? And a lot of it is like you've made all that up in your head. I think a lot of it is just if you introduce yourself and you talk to people, you'll find that a lot of them are really cool and down to earth, and it's not this insular sort of thing that you think it is. I mean, not to say that there aren't some, elitists out there or people who are a little pompous or, divas and that sort of thing. You have that in any performing arts, but, I think a lot of it is just, don't limit yourself, introduce yourself and kind of force yourself to come out of your shell a little bit, and it will, pay off in the long run. I see that a lot at the open mic too, like don't just come and perform and then leave.
Right.
Stay a little bit, hang out, check out what other people do. And all you have to do is just watch somebody else and, maybe pick something else that you like about that. And then tell them that, when they get off stage, tell them about that. And then this person really paid attention to me. And then I see, friends develop and groups form and new shows come out of that and that sort of thing. And like, that's, I love seeing that kind of stuff. And I think that all starts with that first step of like, getting in there yourself and then allowing yourself to open up to people and not stay so insular. Now you guys are both on the advisory board for the Fringe Festival. What does that do, and how does this kind of become a year-round sort of thing where it's not just now during crunch time?
Right.
Well, Connor invites us to a lot of meetings, and then we go to them. And then we sit through very long Zoom meetings. No, I'm just it takes many different forms. Maggie definitely does a lot more than I do behind the scenes with all that kind of stuff. But from my personal perspective, it's really just shaping what the festival is going to be, shaping what the programming is going to be throughout the year. Because the Fringe Festival, well, the festival is the main event. We do things throughout the year as well, the youth programming and all that kind of stuff. So it's really just hey, what sounds fun to do? What should we do throughout the year? We have the silent discos that go on throughout the year, and a bunch of other events that we're just trying to sprinkle in throughout the year to make the city fun, make fun things for people to go to.
Yeah, I could say in my role as an advisor to the organization, it constantly evolves. It constantly evolves from what I've done. What my role from the first year, to the second into now today. Fringe as an organization has continued to evolve and continue to be progressive, which again I think is such a strong credit to its strengths and why we've maintained this momentum, because we've continuously allowed ourselves to take feedback, look at ourselves critically, and continue to challenge ourselves to keep raising that bar. I remember during I was now tis the time of year where I'm reflecting on Fringes of yesteryear, and I remember our very first festival in 2014. At that point, we didn't know what to expect. I mean, certainly I had all the faith in Connor and Liz, Bowen, our dear beloved Liz. I had all the faith in them to to put on an amazing event, but what our rules were going to be within the context of that event, I was a little uncertain. I was not in a production that first year because I specifically wanted to be available to Connor and Liz and to the leadership of the organization to fill in the gaps when needed. And I remember very specifically, I remember picking Connor up in the middle of the festival and driving to Boscov's and he had to go buy a PA. And because, there was a venue that didn't have a PA. Because in that first year, Connor and Liz did everything. Connor did, they did all the tech. They were, managing all the people, managing front of houses, doing all the communication with the artists, all the PR. I remember counting the money. At that first year, we were still all cash. And then that's, there's a lot, again, that behind the scenes stuff that you don't know about. But yeah, I remember driving him to Boscov's and I was I just double parked outside and he ran upstairs, bought a PA, threw it in the back of my station wagon. He's like, okay, now we had to go to the Radisson. They need the PA.
It's funny how much doesn't change, because last year I was driving to Guitar Center. I'm like, I need a wire. We forgot a wire. We need this wire.
Right. There's a lot of things that don't change. But then there is, now, the festival has Dan Kimbrough. Yes. Dan's awesome. He's amazing. Our technical director. I look at Dan and I think, where have you been all our lives? How did we do this without you? So there's we've experienced growth from behind the scenes in so many ways that's enabled the organization to take on new challenges. Like with our summer productions, we started the summer productions with Mr. Burns, 1984. Just this past summer, we did a performance of an original work by Connor O'Brien and Dan Amity, Static. That was phenomenal. And then, the program we have, like the Silent Discos.
The one-act plays from last year, Mandy and
yes.
Maureen.
Yes, Mandy, Maureen. Yeah, they were fantastic. Maureen's coming back again this year and participating in the festival this year. She's also coming to Ireland with us to perform. So, it's ever evolving. Everything's liquid. You can do it one way one time and then, try it different the next. And that's the beauty of Fringe, right? Because the stakes are lower because it's not this full-staged, multifaceted production where you have all these people that you have to appeal to and appease and get answer to.
Right.
I think that's a real beauty of it for the artists as well because, they had that sense of ownership.
Yeah.
That they're not beholden to anybody. And that, I think there's a lot of freedom in that.
Yeah.
And that's when you really get to, get weird. I love it when you get, my favorite shows are the ones where it like gets a little weird.
It's such a great space for the artists to come in and experiment. Whether that experiment goes well or doesn't go well, it's the place for it, absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, I've seen a lot of good Fringe shows. One that stuck out to me before we were just talking before the camera started. Eulogy,
yeah,
and the touring artist who came in, and I wish I could remember his name.
Michael Burgos.
Okay, Michael Burgos. So I had seen it the first time, and then there was another showing later on, and I wanted to catch it, and I like an idiot. Did not read the sign as I actually saw the sign as I was opening the door that said once it starts, like not to come in, right? And he literally like just started maybe the first words of it as I'm opening the door, and I'm like, oh, well, that's too late now. So I can either shut it, and make more of noise or whatever, kind of like sneak in. And I snuck in, and he, because he's delivering this eulogy to an audience, which is you, essentially, he played along with that.
Yes.
At like, I forget exactly what he said. He had something like, always somebody late or something like that.
Right.
Come on or whatever. And so I sat down and just continued on as if nothing had happened or whatever. And he did that in such a great way too, where it also didn't feel like I'm calling you out for being an asshole and now you feel terrible.
Sure.
And now you're going to sit here and feel terrible the whole time. It was... No, come in. It was his way of being
embrace.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I'm being friendly and I'm pulling you into this. So like, let's and then we'll get into it, like that sort of thing. So that was really cool. I love seeing little stuff like that, you know, where you could tell maybe something didn't go exactly the way they planned, but they just pick up on that and they keep going,
Yeah. That reminds me, I know there's the principle in improv, the yes and.
Oh, yes and.
In improv theater, you're always supposed to respond to your partner affirmatively.
Right.
Yes, and then you take it from there because you never want to stifle or stop that flow of energy or like creativity. You're always just like layering and adding to, not taking away.
Yeah.
And Burgos is he's a super talented in that department of really making people feel comfortable and embraced, which is then we want to do that with all of our audiences because essentially we're all going on a journey together,
right?
And and the depending on the nature of the show and the artists and how they operate, they get to set that tone and pace of where this journey is headed, and I think that that's where it really gets exciting.
Yeah, it's fun experiencing that journey together. All in that little audience space. Yeah,
right. Because it's a one time.
That's it.
I mean, even though we're gonna these artists are gonna do their shows over and over and over again, each performance is its own experience, and you kind of have to roll with the punches. When we were in Edinburgh in 2019 for the world's largest Fringe Festival, we saw a phenomenal artist. Her name is Bryony Kimmings. She is a professional performance artist. She's world renowned, very successful. But she had a show. She has a show, I'm a Phoenix Bitch, which was a viscerally, it was a life-changing experience for me, because I was just so enamored with her, with the story she told, the way she told it, how she used the space, how she used the lighting and design and props. It's just unbelievable. But specifically what stood out for me was, so we were in this gigantic theater. I mean, there was probably almost 1,000 people in the room. And a gentleman in the front row, I don't know if he took a seizure, had a stroke, had a heart attack, but there was an emergency situation that was happening. And initially it was kind of like, is this part of the show? Like, you couldn't really tell, again, because the fringe element, you never know what's going to happen.
Sure.
But once it was clear, and we're looking to her for the cue to be like, is this supposed to happen? And from a professional perspective, she addressed what was happening and just immediately froze and sat in her space, because she was in the middle of sharing. It was a very dramatic story about her talking about the birth of her son, who was born with terrible health complications, and living with him in the ICU, and the responsibilities of taking care of him, and it was really powerful. And she was sharing this really vulnerable moment, and there was an emergency that occurred, and the composure with which that she maintained her focus and stayed in her energy, but let what needed to happen, and attendants came in, and he was ushered out, and it just, from a professional standpoint, to see an artist that you could, I don't know how I would respond in that situation. I mean, that can really throw you off. And take you out of the scene, and then it compromised the performance. And if anything, it just made me like her more. It made the performance even stronger, because she was so great at rolling with the punches. So yeah, it's neat to see.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So you've watched it change and develop over the past decade, and so let's maybe talk about some of the programming this year. And you had mentioned before we started, this is one of the biggest that you guys have done so far, if not.
This is going to be our biggest. This is going to be the biggest festival we've had. What do you say? AC after COVID?
After COVID, yeah. AC.
Yes, this is so. We are returning. We are returning to our, our larger capacity. And I believe we met recently, and they shared our ticket sales. Also, we've already surpassed our ticket sale goal for this period of time in previous years. We're 2 weeks out. Looking at numbers from previous years, we're well on our way to getting back to our BC before COVID numbers.
Speaking of which, we want to mention in the comments here, ScrantonFringe.org. So if you haven't gotten your tickets yet, you can go through and you can see all of the events. I think it's ScrantonFringe.org/events, and you can see all of the listings for these different events and whatever. And I recommend just kind of going through. They always put out a great program every year, and you can find these around. I'm sure.
Yes, we're actively. You should be seeing these out in your travels across Northeast PA. We've distributed thousands of guides at this point.
So many.
Yes, and that not in addition to the ones in my car.
Yeah.
If you find a typo, we'll give you a cookie. So that's your challenge.
So then the guide's tremendous, because it gives us, obviously it gives all the each show, it just gives a description of each show and where and when you can find it. But then there's all these different ways to cross-reference the schedule. There's a grid schedule by day and time. There's schedule by venue. There's schedules by day.
It's really organized.
Yes.
So you can just be walking around Scranton, downtown Scranton. I have time to get a coffee before this show, watch this show. You're like, I have 10 minutes. I can go mosey around before watching this show. It really puts things in one space for you to
Yes.
know when and where things are going on.
And then also visiting our button partners. So there's a tradition in Fringe theater that, festivals all have the designated branded buttons. In our early years, we required all attendees to have the button. We've lightened up on that. That's one of our AC
After COVID.
our after COVID adjustments. But of course, we still love the buttons, and we like to think them as collector's items. But we have button partners across town who sell tickets for us and sell buttons for us. Again, to get that. To get lots of exposure and meet different people, but it also helps bring business into those stores, into the button partners. And each of them offer a discount promotion during the festival.
Yep.
So like you were talking about, if you want to get a coffee, you can go to Black and Brass. You show your button, you get buy one, get one free.
Buy one, get one free. Yeah, that's fantastic.
There you go. I'm going to be so hyped up on, you're going to be buy one for me and a free one for me, right?
It's for morning me and then afternoon me.
Yes, there's a lot of coffee consumed in the next 2 weeks.
Absolutely.
So I right off the bat, one of the first things I open up to Astronauto is a guy who came to the NEPA Scene open mic for quite a while. I met him there, and he's great. He's fantastic. He would mesmerize people, which sometimes the open mic crowd is on your side, and other times it's people are socializing and they're having their drinks and they're not paying attention to anything that's happening. Mm-hmm. So, but he was great at mesmerizing people after a while, and especially even when the bartenders comment and be like, "That guy's really good," then they're good.
If the bartender likes it,
exactly, right? Like then he's good. So I would definitely recommend seeing him. I think he's great.
Yeah, and he's in at 518 Lackawanna, so that's where that's a current vacant storefront space that has been shared with us for this year's fest. Mm-hmm. So that's cool. It's always neat to be in. Again, we talked about those like obscure, unexplored kind of spaces.
Yeah, absolutely.
That kind of brings an extra level of adventure to the festival.
He performed at the Pocket Park too a couple weeks ago for the little Fringe. So good. He was sampling music live and then playing it back and then doing stuff over it. Really good. And I think that just goes to show the different kinds of performances and flavors you're going to get at a Fringe festival like this. Some people will just expect it's going to be a whole bunch of plays, but no, we've got immersive musical performances.
You turn the page, there's stand-up comedy.
Lots of stand-up, improv. And that's those audiences are sometimes not mutually, crossovers. A lot, folks that maybe, really love stand-up and improv, maybe they don't want to sit through a classical recital.
Sure.
Or watch dance.
Yeah.
That's, sure, great. But, you have the opportunity to do, there's room for everybody.
Yep.
Yeah. And everybody, all interests, artistic interests are going to be available. Mm-hmm. And we have so many great new venues on board this year. As we mentioned, Black and Brass, with their new location downtown, their venue this year. Electric City Improv, there's a new improv studio on Lackawanna Avenue. We're great to have them. Of course, the Trolley Museum is back again. We love the trolley.
Absolutely.
The Greenhouse Project up at Nayoak Park. That's a little bit off the beaten path. Traditionally, Fringe festivals, the expectation is that it's going to be walkable. Okay. Right? That you want to keep it in a collective district area so everybody can move about comfortably. Ideally, a downtown setting where people can eat and shop and drink, because that's also, very much we want that to be part of the well-rounded experience. But we have two remote locations this year. The Greenhouse Project, located in Nayoak Park, which is a really cool space. Mm-hmm. They had I had the opportunity to see another show that's happening in our festival this year. Decompositions was performed at the Greenhouse this winter, and that was such a lovely opportunity to see it in that space. That's the Farm Arts Collective. They're an artistic group from Damascus. They're incredibly talented. It's a flower farm, and they do a lot of performing, stage performances. Tanis is the director there, and she has this one-woman production talking about, the decomposition of, flora and fauna and how it relates to our own human experience, which is really cool. What are some other new? Oh, and Marywood. Really excited to be.
Yeah.
We're really excited to be at Marywood this year. This is our first time having them as a venue in the festival, and of course, we're excited to engage with the students there. Yeah. And Thursday night, the 25th, is we have our kickoff party, launch party at Marywood, and we're going to have the 3D mapping projection art installation.
Oh yeah, you guys did that last year with the
Yes,
Everhart, right?
Correct. Yeah.
That's
This year we're doing it with Marywood.
Nice.
On the rotunda.
Yeah.
And they're going to have food and drink for sale. The launch party is free to attend. No ticketing is required. No RSVP is needed. But we'll be there, sampling. Get to provide some samples of what everybody has to look forward to for the next 2 weeks, and also take in the digital mapping. If you've never seen it, it's
really cool.
pretty neat.
Yeah, really, really cool.
I should mention a friend of myself and NEPA Scene, Ryan J, is doing Battle of the Bards, which I know you've been to a few of those, participated in some of those. They're super fun.
Always a great time.
Usually one Sunday a month at the V Spot, which is not the place you would expect to see any theater at all whatsoever.
And it works so well.
The last place.
And it works so well.
It really does. It really does. And you know what? It was funny. I was just talking to the titular D in D's at the V that runs the kitchen in the back there, and he said, "I am blown away by how successful Sundays are.
Right?
It helps us so much.
That's awesome.
Seeing all the theater people come out and grabbing dinner because it's around dinner time usually when they have those." And it's been a huge success there for the V Spa, which I think
good.
Nobody other than Ryan and Casey, who put the whole thing together. I think other than them, I don't know if anyone else could have predicted how well that it would have gotten there. So
I think that just goes to show
out.
the power of community, and with the open mic, with Battle of the Bars, and with Fringe itself, it just really fosters this community that supports each other and comes through to these things. And that's great to hear.
Yeah, that's great. And we'll be live streaming that as well as part of like we did last year with the Fringe Festival. So
and then Terry mentioned the Pocket Park.
The Pocket Park.
There's going to be a performance of the importance of being earnest happening in the Pocket Park.
Nice.
So that's a nice, great use of that space.
I love that space is being used.
And then there's also this, in terms of special events, which I'm very intrigued to see. There's going to be a 10-minute immersive performance in a sensory deprivation tank at the Giving Tree.
Okay.
They have those float tanks.
Yeah.
So there's going to be there's going to be a 10-minute immersive performance, someone in the float tank. So there'll be small, so that's definitely when you want to reserve, go online and buy the tickets for that, because that's going to be limited seating. But that's just so far out,
Yeah.
And just even that, there's something to be said about, how inspiring these unexpected moments can be, and really putting yourself in a space, normally I would never voluntarily, seek out, I want to go see a play in a float tank, that's just,
Sure.
Right.
Do we need that? No, probably not, right?
It's cool that it's there.
But we're gonna make it happen because free will and the beauty of that.
It's get weird.
Yeah, it's gonna get weird. Exactly,
weird.
Fringy, and that's where the fringe. Yes, that's when we start to get fringy. Yeah, and we've had some other cool fringy moments. I don't know if people remember. You remember the igloo?
Yes.
Yeah, the igloo is really far out.
What I find too is that a lot of people who say I've been to poetry readings and comedy shows, improv shows, things like that or whatever, where maybe at least a couple people were dragged there by somebody who were absolutely not wanting to be. And I always hear the same thing as they're walking out going, I didn't think I would like that, but I ended up really liking that. And it's one of those things where you really do have to experience some of this stuff for yourself. You can't just dismiss something by, well, I've never done that, so therefore I'm just going to continue never doing that forever, or whatever the case is. Like, you have to give things a shot sometimes, or if you know somebody who would be interested in something like that, maybe it'd be an interesting date. Take them out, your boyfriend, girlfriend, wife, husband, whatever the case is. Like, take them out to one of these things.
Yeah,
absolutely.
And I think that's, it at its core, the beauty of Fringe is that it creates these very accessible, easy on-ramps to these different modalities of art. Yeah. And the ideal patron is going to be someone that's willing to challenge themselves to, go see the thing that you would normally not. Right. And that's, we have our community has an incredible, the Broadway Theater League is fantastic. And, they're in a really great season this year. So many great shows, and there's that traditional Broadway Theater League attendee. And, there's always this desire to convert those more traditional patrons into, exploring the new world.
Come hop in a deprivation tank. It's nice.
Right? Yeah, and I know I'm excited. There's a hypnosis show.
Oh yeah,
there's a hypnotist who I guess is gonna take on some unsuspecting attendees. So that's cool.
Step out of your comfort zone,
Yeah.
Well, you know what I think of too. Last year on Netflix, there was Baby Reindeer was based on a Fringe show from the Edinburgh.
Correct. Yes.
And that was incredibly popular when it came out. It surprised a lot of people, and it really grew through this word of mouth. Like I don't think I ever saw a trailer, an ad for it, but I saw lots of people talking about it on social media. Like, you gotta see this. You gotta check that out. And it's like, well, where do you think stuff like that comes from? Where do you think these weird original ideas, these personal deep stories that people are trying to tell that maybe wouldn't end up on a conventional platform, where do you think they get started from? How do you think they spread? It's stuff like this.
Yes. Fleabag is another.
Yes, another great example. And that was,
she started in Edinburgh.
Huge.
Oh yeah,
huge when that came out.
Mega. Yeah. But then those stories are. I think neither of those stories are particularly similar, but what they both are, they're so deeply compelling.
Yes.
And authentic, and
with a very specific voice.
Yes. Right.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because it doesn't have to have that mass appeal.
Right.
Where Broadway. Mass appeal is the objective.
Right.
Even there we've seen in recent years Broadway itself is trying to kind of embrace some new techniques in order to continue reach new audiences and stretch their skill set. You need look if you're looking for far out, you need look no further.
Absolutely.
We got 2 weeks. We have 2 weeks of programming. What I love so much about it is the ability to immerse yourself in it and binge live theater. See like 4 shows in one day. And it just takes you so many different places, and it touches your heart, makes you laugh, makes you cry. You get to engage with the audience around you. It's it's a unique opportunity. And Scranton, I think that Scranton has. Historically, I know we love to be very self-critical. I'm no better, right? We have so much to offer in this area, and I think the Fringe is a wonderful, and I say this, of course, prejudice, but
sure.
It is a gift it's a wonderful gift to the community, and an opportunity, especially now. Like theater was the original escapism. That was before we doom scrolled.
Right.
We went to the movies, and before we went to the movies, we went to theater. So, there's plenty happening in the world right now where I think folks will need to tune out. So we can, I'm looking forward to escaping for 2 weeks and living in this fringe bubble.
Yes.
Even Ulysses of Scranton, kind of real. I'm sure we'll touch upon some of those themes about Scranton.
Yes.
That one is very intriguing. Mm-hmm. And let's see if we have any comments from people. Like I said, if you guys have any Fringe Festival memories or things you want to talk about, you got to leave those in the comments before we wrap up so that we can see them and we can respond to them. Amber Viola says, hey.
Hey, Amber.
Hey.
Let's see.
Oh.
Another podcaster?
Yes. I just talked to her last week on the NEPA Scene blue carpet. Because everything has to be blue.
Absolutely.
We decided that a long time ago. And, we're continuing that theme here.
I didn't notice.
No, you hadn't seen that? Yeah. My biggest challenge actually is to not turn everybody's face blue. I have so many lights trying to fix that. Hopefully,
the shiny territory.
Yeah, everybody's going to be bright white. It helps having a bald head. It reflects off of everything.
I gotta try that out.
We have the. Let's see, huzzah, Terry Thompson and Maggie O'Brien from Kimmy Left.
Hey.
Huzzah.
Connor, we talked about earlier, he says, I regret having to provide a legal definition here, and I never thought I would have to comment on this. But for the record, Terry is 5 or 6 years younger than me.
All right, Grandpa, calm down.
Yes, sore subject.
Grandpa.
Mandy Pennington says, so many great theater memories from P&P. Amazing stuff from Terry and Maggie. Thanks for featuring Scranton Fringe Festival. Of course, we have to at least do one of these podcasts every year to talk about everything that's going on. I mean, we're not even covering a good chunk of it, but we try. Let's see, and then AFA. We want to mention AFA Gallery has been a great venue every year since 2015, and we love it.
AFA has been such a cornerstone of the arts in this community.
Absolutely.
That was it. They're legends.
So so much good stuff there, and they continue, and they're they had to move locations, but they're still doing their thing.
During COVID, I assisted in that move.
Kimmy says, feed the Fringe. Love this. We'll definitely check out how to donate to help. If you just go on the website for that, or how
to
can
feed
we
the Fringe?
Yes. How do we donate?
It's on the there's information on the website.
Okay, so ScrantonFringe.org. And Kimmy asked Terry, what kind of cookies are we talking about? Are we talking homemade, locally made, like Retro Cafe, or store-bought, Boo?
We're talking straight up Terry's own oatmeal raisin cookies. I know it's not everyone's favorite, but it's my favorite. So
I'm an oatmeal raisin guy.
Oatmeal raisin guy?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
This is the first I'm hearing of these cookies.
Yeah, they're pretty good. They're pretty good. And the greatest thing about having oatmeal raisins as your favorite cookie, they're always available. They're always there. So good. So good.
Yes, Fringe for the People offers free tickets to anyone facing financial barriers. Whether you'd like to request tickets or help fund the program, you can email info@scrantonfringe.org.
There you go. Summer, anything on Instagram or anything you want to mention?
I'll check real quick.
Anything you want to ask?
Don't ask about the cookies anymore, though. That's it.
See, I don't know the brand of it.
Sure.
But there's a specific one that's like a beige box, red at one end. They're frosted oatmeal ones.
It's dangerous.
Yeah.
It's dangerous.
Those are good. I used to get them at the Christmas tree shop all the time.
Are those the crunchy ones?
R.I.P. Christmas tree shop.
Or are they soft?
I know.
Kind of in the middle?
A mix. Yeah, it's kind of in the middle. Not like chewy, but
Sure.
like a nice cookie.
Okay.
Yeah, you gotta get that nice in between,
Yeah.
kind of crunchy, kind of chewy.
Yes. We also, of course, have the children's programming. I don't think we've had an opportunity to.
Oh yes,
To
yeah.
touch on
We
that.
should definitely mention that.
Yes, fun for the kids again. At the Lackawanna County Children's Library, they've been a longtime partner with Fringe as well, and we love that space. The Children's Library,
Fun.
it just gives me such warm feelings. It smells great.
It's so good.
Yeah.
It's so nostalgic in there.
It is.
Yeah, and it's nice to have that programming aimed for the kids. There's something for everyone of all ages.
Yes, and I believe the children's programming is free,
Yeah, I believe so.
right?
Nice.
I think so.
Including there's a children's silent disco. That's a hoot.
We were just talking about silent discos last week.
Okay.
With the silent sound system.
Yes.
There, and we
They're
talked
awesome.
about those. Yeah, really cool, really interesting idea, and very popular. They're getting pretty big around here. So before we wrap up, I just want to mention, some of the other things that you guys maybe do outside of all of this fringe talk and theater talk and things like that. You do the Make-A-Wish Foundation, which, so I got to imagine that is an incredibly good and heartwarming job, and also like heartbreaking and really tough at the same time. Like that has got to be a hell of a balance.
Yes, it can be. Although I can say, when I remembered going into the job 14 years ago, I was going through the interview process. I remember having a conversation with my father about it, and he just couldn't. I remember him being like, "I couldn't. How could you? Like, how could you do that?"
Yeah.
And he was like, "Do you really think you could do it?" I'm like, "Well, I guess we're gonna find out. Like, we'll see."
Sure.
But I can see what we provide, what the Make-A-Wish Foundation, our wish granting program, and the hope and joy that we provide our kids and their families is so impactful that the moments where that do bring heartbreak and sadness are very outnumbered. And that's there's a large misconception about the Make-A-Wish organization that all of our kids are terminal. And when the organization started 40 years ago, the life expectancy of children with like pediatric cancer, it was not, they did not have the medical advances that we have today that allow these kids to receive treatment, go through, plan of care, remission, and go on to live happy, healthy lives.
Yeah.
I've had wonderful relationships with lots of families over the past where it was as simple as, they were diagnosed, they went through the process, and it never came back again. So, in those cases, but regardless of the outcome at the time of the wish, every child is eligible. Any child between 2.5 and 18 years of age who is currently diagnosed with an illness that's defined as progressive, degenerative, or malignant, which is a very big scope. Any of them are have the opportunity for a once in a lifetime wish. And the joy of providing those magical experiences, it blows all the tough times. And, it pales in comparison. Yeah, I really like it.
That's good. Well, obviously you've been doing it so long. That's
14 years. Yeah, I did the math. I think in my 14 years I've granted like 1,400 wishes.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah,
That's fantastic.
yeah. I'm very big. I cover 12 counties.
Wow. Yeah, that's a lot.
Very big. Me and WNEP have the same territory. When people would call me, especially older folks around here, people are accustomed to having like local organizations, local representatives. The premise of covering one person in 12 counties, like that's not real, right? It is in today's world. And folks will call me and they're like, from Wellsboro. I'm like, well, I don't know. You're all the way in Scranton. Are you sure you're my person? I'm like, do you know Joe Snedeker? And I'm your girl. Yeah.
That's fantastic.
And I'm sure. So if anybody wants to contribute,
Yes.
they can go to.
Oh yes, my favorite. Make-A-Wish Greater PA WV is our local chapter. So that's the Make-A-Wish of Greater Pennsylvania, West Virginia. I'm a member of that chapter. Our headquarters is in Pittsburgh. My regional office is here in Scranton. And like I said, I oversee wish granting and fundraising in 12 counties. go to our website to learn more. To either refer a child that might be between the ages of 2.5 and 18, who's diagnosed with a critical illness, has an opportunity to receive a once-in-a-lifetime wish. And of course, everybody of any age has the opportunity to donate in support of those local wishes. All the money that we raise in our community goes right back into those local kids' wishes. So, despite the fact that Make-A-Wish has a national brand recognition, most people know who we are as an organization. I'm really proud of the fact that all of the money that we raise in our community stays in our community. So we are still very grassroots. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Now, Terry, we met as your alias, Silo Good.
Silo.
Yes.
And doing music in the area, and you've been on the podcast before talking about that stuff. So do we have any kind of update there? Are you doing music as much these days? Man. And if not, what else are you up to?
Doing so much these days, Rich. Too much these days.
Okay.
Music is taking a little bit of a back seat. And I would say backseat. I'm always writing. I'm always, creating. The music has turned more into like poetry these days. I'm doing a lot of spoken word with Poets Live, with Rose Daniels up in Wilkes-Barre, Rhythm and Rhymes at ANZ Hotel with Sabrina. All these different places I'm always performing and flexing those word writing and word saying muscles, I guess. So that's kind of where that is. I'm working on publishing my own book, my own poetry book. So,
nice.
Keep an eye on that in the future. We'll see how that turns out. Writing down and typing them up. It's a lot of work. And other than that, like I said, I'm doing my own podcast with some of my friends. We talk about video games a lot. So it's a video games podcast. It's Double Kick. You can find it on, Spotify, Apple Music, YouTube, and all that. The Double Kick podcast. And that's just staying busy, Rich. I'm just always doing something.
He's getting married.
I'm getting married.
Oh, congratulations.
Soon. Thank you. It's very exciting. She should be so lucky. I'm also very lucky. She's fantastic. And theater, poetry, music, so many things. I haven't been down to the open mic in a while, so I need to come back down.
Yeah.
Me and Capital G.
Yeah, exactly. I'd love to see what you guys are up to these days.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's about it, though.
All right, cool. What games are you talking about on the podcast? Just out of curiosity.
Oh my god, everything under the sun. Marvel Rivals. That's
probably one of the bigger ones right now.
Big ones right now.
That's what I hear from my brother anyway.
Absolutely.
I haven't played games in a long time,
so
but
good,
I know. If I were to get back into it, that would probably be the thing to get me back in.
Yeah, it's so good. I mean, telling by
is that PlayStation?
Space.
Yeah.
It's everything. So it's PlayStation, Xbox, it's PC.
They're not exclusive anymore. My day games were exclusive.
I know. That's one of the big things right now. A lot of games are transitioning over that used to be exclusive. So we're in a melting pot era.
Monopolies.
I know.
And then you could crossplay with each other.
Crossplay.
Yeah,
it's so good. So good. PlayStation playing with Xbox players. I love it though. I love it. Yeah, Marvel Rivals Silk Song just came out. That's one of the golden gems that has been on the horizon for a long time. Just everything under the sun. Go listen to it.
I think the only thing that can get me back into gaming right now is all these little beat 'em ups that they're doing now, like the Turtles one that they did and stuff like that, and they finally re-released all the Marvel vs. Capcom stuff in that collection, and you can play against other people online and stuff. I'm like, okay, I'm tempted to show these young kids how we used to do it.
You a Marvel vs. Capcom kid?
Yeah, I was a Marvel vs. Capcom guy. Nice. I was big on Street Fighter and all that kind of stuff.
Did you see this? Do you remember the Fringe show that we played the Game Boys?
I didn't know.
There was like a music. They put on a musical production with Game Boys.
I had heard about it and I didn't get to see it.
That was that just reminded of that. The artist had several Game Boys on a stand, and he went through the Game Boys playing, and he played music.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
Amazing. See?
Come
Fringe.
Yeah, exactly. Right? You never know.
It all ties back together.
Ties together.
Yeah.
I love it. I love it so much. Good stuff.
Well, those old Game Boys were like tanks. You could kill somebody with one of those things. They were huge.
Absolutely.
Took that thing everywhere though, and it probably wherever it ended up, in a garage or whatever, a landfill somewhere, it probably still works.
Sure, you can turn it on.
Yes,
Yeah.
if you turn it on now, it would still work. Anything today, it's like you drop up, it's broke. That's it.
Dunzo.
Yeah.
Obsolescence.
Right?
Yeah.
My mom found a Game Boy Color in her basement like 2 years ago, still in its box, original box.
Incredible.
From whenever Game Boy Colors came out, like 1990 something or whatever. Still works. I put batteries in, turned it on, worked just fine.
Really? Like the screen isn't.
No, screen's it's a Game Boy Color screen, so but it works. Yeah,
Wow.
yeah, crazy.
Shout out Nintendo.
Yeah, I sneeze at my iPhone and it breaks. So,
Right,
yeah.
right, exactly.
I know, it's awful.
It's because they want you to keep replacing those, you know?
Oh, yeah.
All right, so anything else we want to mention before we wrap up here?
ScrantonFringe.org is where you can get all this information that we just spewed to you all. I mean, and yeah, come on, let's get weird. Come on, let's get weird. Yeah.
Yes, join us at the launch party Thursday, September 25th from 6 to 9 at Marywood University. Enjoy the 3D projection, and we'll have refreshments and fellowship. It'll be a lot of fun. Hopefully we'll have another beautiful night like we've been having. And of course there'll be previews.
Yes.
There'll be previews from all the artists. We'll give a little brief previews of their show, so you can kind of get a taste of what you might like to see, and schedule your fringe binge.
I liked that. That was dumb. Schedule your fringe bit.
You guys have so many good catchphrases.
I know.
Perfect.
Theater people.
Yeah.
The worst.
Hey, it makes my job easier.
There we go, right?
Yeah.
So the 11th annual Scranton Fringe Festival comes to 18 different venues. I counted them on the website throughout Scranton on September 25th through October 5th. Visit scrantonfringe.org to see the full schedule of shows and purchase your tickets. Highly recommend checking it out and going through this handy guide wherever you may find it, or on the website to find more. And thank you so much for tuning in to tonight's NEPA Scene Podcast. If you enjoyed the conversation and you want to tell more people about it, please like, share, comment, and do all the good algorithm stuff so that we can reach more people, get more people to come out and support local shows, and make all this hard work pay off. And also help us reach new audiences as well. We're always continuing to grow and stuff. A few months back, we hit 30,000 followers on Facebook.
Fantastic.
So we're continuing to grow and get bigger, and rival a lot of the bigger outlets out there. So but we can't do that without your help. So.
Support local.
Yes, I know, and I probably sound like WVIA, and they're probably gonna at one point sue me for stealing their whole shtick at the end. But we're all in this
WVIA
together.
would never do that.
No, they won't. They're the opposite of that. Scranton Times, I don't know. I can't always trust those guys, But WVIA, I can trust those guys. Well, I've been meaning to actually have them on the show for a while, considering that all of the stuff that they've been through, the funding and all that kind of stuff. I think it's important to, support them as well. Because a lot of people also don't realize that a lot of my former newspaper colleagues and, people who have decades more experience than I do, that have been in the business a long, long time, went over to WVIA.
To the news team,
So they have a great news team right now where you can get a lot of really great local news without that, paywall and all that good stuff, which is so helpful. Talking about accessibility, So maybe we'll chat with them sometime soon. If that's something you'd like to see, leave that in the comments. In general, anything that you want to hear about, we would love to hear from you in the comments. So if you want to see somebody or a certain organization or representation from a certain venue or show or band or whatever, we want to hear from you in those comments so that we know what you guys want and we continue to deliver. So again, thanks so much, and we will see you here next Wednesday for another NEPA Scene Podcast. Have a good night, everybody.
Bye.